Thanks, Allie. Good morning. I know folks are going to be jumping in probably as we do a little bit of introductions, but that's okay. All are welcome in this space. Hopefully you enjoyed a little bit of music this morning. I love Sarah Bareilles. Hopefully maybe inspire a little dancing today, or at least a smile and some joy in your heart. But we're thrilled that you're here with us in this space to talk and really celebrate identity, inclusion, and inspire you to really amplify your support and impact to best support young people in the LGBTQ plus community, and really to inspire all of us here to support all young people. So as we dive in, I just invite you to reflect in thinking about who believed in you, who ensured that you felt included, who's been in your life cheering you on, and how can we ensure that every young person has that, really ensuring that they feel seen, heard, and genuinely valued for who they are. So again, thank you for being here this morning. And as we get going, we'd love to learn and introduce all of us, or everyone in the room. So if you'd be so kind in the chat, if you'd share your name and pronouns, your organization or location where you're joining us from. And then I'd love to know your favorite summer treat. I was sharing with Soua earlier that I'm in our little cabin and there's no AC. And so anything frozen sounds delicious right now. But maybe you're like me and likes, something cold to drink on hot days. So, and as you're sharing in the chat, we're going to go ahead and introduce ourselves as well. And with that, I'm going to send it over to Allie.
Hello, I'm Allie Ervig, she, her. I'm the marketing development manager at Mentor Minnesota. And I missed the question, so maybe I'll just add in the chat later. Sorry. On to Sarah.
No Hi, everybody. I'm the executive director of Mentor Minnesota, Sarah Schaefer, she, her. And my favorite summer treat is definitely sun tea that you put in the sun to brew.
That sounds delicious. I'm Emily Garai, she, her. I'm the program director at Mentor Minnesota. My favorite summer treats besides open water, I love the water, and sunshine. I'm a little bit old school and I love blue snow cones, not those pre-made snow cones that come like a chunk of ice that would probably knock your tooth out, but the old school frozen, like slushy blue snow cones are probably one of my favorite things I haven't had in a long time. And my other is ice cream from What's the Scoop. Just really delicious, and encourage you to all check it out. Nelson's is also really great for if you order small and it's like this huge cup of ice cream. So go with a friend or someone you love because you're gonna need to share it. I see E, ice cream. I'm with you, E. Nicki, a bowl of fresh, I missed that. I'm curious what that is. Oh. Energy Smart ice cream. And Nicki, fresh tomatoes with olive oil. Ooh, delicious. I'm curious if you have a garden or if you know someone who has a garden so you can get fresh tomatoes. And ooh, frozen mangoes. Sounds delicious too, Soua. I've never had them frozen, but maybe that's a good inspiration to go ahead and try that. Farmers markets, yes, love those things, Nicki. But go ahead and keep sharing, and as folks jump in, hopefully we'll maybe reshare so folks can introduce themselves too as they follow along. But that's a little bit of who we are. I did want to talk a little bit about what we do at Mentor Minnesota. And I love this quote by Sarah, who you just met, our executive director, how she captures our work in really a nutshell. And says that, our work here at Mentor Minnesota is really about advancing mentoring and human connection throughout mentoring experiences across the state of Minnesota. And we do that through training, technical assistance, advocacy, and convening leaders together. So really that about wraps it up, but I love that, that nutshell kind of perspective. A little bit of our roadmap today. So starting from a good place, and that's really introducing ourselves and to one another. We're going to provide a little bit of grounding information, uplifting identity, inclusion, and hopefully inspiring ways that we can all better support and celebrate Pride Month. And then from there, we're going to be hearing from QUEERSPACE Collective. We have special guest Soua Thao here, and also Nicki is here as well. So feel free, you can go ahead and jump in there too. And then we also have special guests, a special match, both mentor and mentee, Liz and E, that are going to be graciously sharing some of their story with us. And then we're going to provide a space for some connection, and hopefully leave with sharing out some incredible resources at the end and other ways that we want to leave you feeling energized and inspired, by all the voices here today. And with that, we're going to do a quick video kind of grounding this space together here this morning and why inclusion and support are so important. And it allows me to get a drink of water. So in June, we're busy celebrating Pride Month and elevating stories of joy and connection such as this. So we must also not forget how Pride originated. Pride began with the Stonewall Rebellion, which was a protest led by people of color that sought to really defend the LGBTQ plus community from police brutality, a persisting issue that continues to disproportionately affect Black people, people of color, and the LGBTQ plus community. So during Pride Month and beyond, we hope that you'll join us in supporting LGBTQ plus youth, rewiring inequitable systems, and also standing up against the tragedies and really realities of systematic racism, bigotry, and violence. And, Pride is really about celebrating our unique identities, inclusion, and it also is really grounded in inspiring others to do the same. So really my only housekeeping rule for our conversation today is that we walk softly. And that just means that, we all have a story to share and a story to tell. And we want to be mindful of being respectful to each other and to ourselves. And so if you need to leave your camera off, we recognize that, but feel free, you can always turn it on. And this is a space that we want everyone to feel welcome and respected as well. So where does mentorship fit in? Within the LGBTQ plus community, mentorship can play a key role in increasing young people's access to inclusive spaces where they can be who they are without the fear of judgment or persecution. So I'm curious in the chat, if folks want to share, what are some ways that you could provide or maybe increase inclusive spaces for young people within your own organization, within your own spaces? Perhaps it's the use of pronouns or including youth voice from the jump. And as folks kind of share in the chat too, and just kind of reflect on ways that we can provide active listening, absolutely. And I'll share the question in the chat if anybody missed it. That you can keep reflecting on it and kind of just think about your own spaces. And maybe it's something that you want to come back to later, and that's okay too. Allowing young people space to voice their opinions, absolutely. Again, bringing in that youth voice right from the beginning. Moving from male, female restroom options, absolutely. Thanks, Laura. Happy you're here, Laura. Laura's joining us from Seattle, Washington, so that's exciting.
Good morning,
Zoom.
everyone.
Yeah. You can go ahead and you can even add your name, pronouns, and again, a little bit about yourself if you want, Laura. And if anyone else jumped on a little late, feel free to do the same. And go ahead and continue to share different ideas that you might have on some ways that you can think about increasing inclusive spaces for young people. And Mentor Minnesota is committed to creating a movement along with all of our affiliate network and Mentor National that serves all young people by connecting them with individuals and communities that are invested in their success and their well-being. And with that, we're really grateful to the team, beyond grateful. That's not a large enough word as far as I'm concerned, for the team at QUEERSPACE Collective, along with the amazing Match, Liz and Eve, that are joining us today. But QUEERSPACE is really leading the way in this work. True champions and striving to follow the nationally recognized best practices that are aligned, that are outlined in the LGBTQ supplement to the elements of effective practice for mentoring, and also achieving these standards. QUEERSPACE Collective participated in Mentor's first LGBTQ plus cohort opportunity. And through this training program, programs were joined by Dr. Christian Rummel from Mentorist and Nia Clark, a social work specialist that works for Mentor, and along with the support of Mentor Minnesota. And over the course of a year, went through different training and learning opportunities together, and then formed a LGBTQ plus ally workshop. And it was really a working group that led efforts to update policies and procedures that were found within the LGBTQ supplement to the EEP. And so some of these topics included being inclusive and affirmation statements, anti-bullying policies, updating screening policies, matching policies that were inclusive of sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression. And then at the end, the training concluded with a commitment to intentionally providing inclusive, affirming, and safe mentoring program culture for the LGBTQ plus youth. And so that's where you see that badge down at the bottom. So I just wanted to highlight that for everyone's hard work. And again, open hearts and minds into participating in that. And we encourage any program, we hope to continue to offer this training opportunity, and for folks that might be interested to go ahead and reach out and look for that in the future as well. And with that, I'm gonna go ahead and do a quick video that does a really nice job of snapshotting QUEERSPACE through the lens of their own words, their own eyes.
There's 5,000 mentorship programs across our country, and less than 1% of them, and maybe as few as 5, actually are focused on LGBTQ youth. I continually heard this is a big gap, and we need something like this.
Anytime that there's an opportunity to be involved in culturally specific programming for marginalized populations, I feel a responsibility to just show up.
We started QUEERSPACE Hangouts, and that's our mentorship program where we match an LGBTQ youth with an LGBTQ adult.
Being a queer kid in this day and age, everybody's like, oh, it's so great, you get to be out in the open, it's wonderful. But, it's still hard.
I can relate to my parents in some ways, but of course, they are heterosexual, so it's a bit harder to relate in those ways.
It's important to have another queer adult in my life, because as a queer person, it's really important to get exposure like that.
I knew the exact moment when I thought back to the 16-year-old version of myself, and I thought, where was this when I was 16? So I knew in that moment that I had to be involved so that other 16-year-olds could feel completely different and feel community, feel safe.
I hear from the parents that their kids feel like they're just doing a little bit better in life, but I hear from the mentors also, like the youth are starting to open up more, they're starting to share more of like both the joys and the challenges in their life.
It's exciting being able to meet this need that's been a huge gap in the community for a very long time.
we're not in this just for our kids. We're in this for all these kids. And finding a way to give them the support to make them feel not just strong, not just confident, but to celebrate who they are.
It's good to support QUEERSPACE Collective because it'll help queer kids be able to find their own identity and to become more themselves.
It's not that much of a time commitment to just get involved in little ways.
And it's as easy as going to QUEERSPACE's website, sending an email, saying, hey, where can I donate? Do you need volunteers for this? How can I be a mentor? Asking those simple questions, super easy emails to send, and can make a world of a difference.
I would just encourage you to learn more about QUEERSPACE Collective, figure out ways that you might support us so that we can really grow our organization and really grow the number of kids that we can work with and really increase our impact.
So much better. And besides, it gives you a little break from hearing my voice. And I must say though, I feel like we should all be out in the park or wherever you all were when you were dancing. I could maybe pretend to be the DJ and be out there. I kind of just feel like in the celebration of this month, I feel like dancing all day long. So Sarah, I'm sorry if that maybe wouldn't mean I'm not productive, but I wouldn't mind doing it all day long. Nonetheless, please welcome Soua, who's here to talk a little bit more about QUEERSPACE Collective, and along with Nicki. Feel free to jump in whenever you like.
Yeah, thanks, Emily, and thanks, Mentor Minnesota, for having us here. Super excited to just be here to talk more about QUEERSPACE, and then also have Liz and E talk more about their mentorship and the impact that they've had, getting matched together in our program. So just wanted to share more about QUEERSPACE. You've seen that video. Every time I watch that video, it's like the first time I'm watching it, and I love it. So can go ahead and go to the next slide. Just want to talk through our mission and vision. So QUEERSPACE Collective is our overall organization, and we're really here to create space for LGBTQ+ youth to feel safe and empowered to be their true selves. Our vision is for all LGBTQ+ youth to have a supportive community, to just support them in who they are and like who they want to become, and supporting their journey and exploration in their identities. We do this by working with LGBTQ+ youth, the broader community, and local organizations to just build a wide support network for LGBTQ+ youth to just support them, and then also reduce youth isolation, suicide, and homelessness. I know Emily shared that video with some data and like numbers and facts. I also wanted to share the screen on numbers that QUEERSPACE kind of goes off of, and these numbers kind of helped QUEERSPACE kind of develop into who we are today. But the LGBTQ+ community experiences like ongoing discrimination in every aspect of their life, and this directly impacts the young people who are who also identify as queer or trans, right? So just some numbers: 85% of LGBTQ+ youth experience harassment at school due to their sexual orientation. They're 5 times more likely to attempt suicide than their heterosexual peers. 5 times that's a big number. So that's something that we really focus on at QUEERSPACE as well, working to reduce that. They're estimated to represent 40% of the youth homeless population. Due to the increase due to COVID-19, there has been an increased isolation, and that has been really affecting everyone, and also LGBTQ+ youth. And then a third of the young people say that they need an adult to talk to. So that's kind of where mentorship comes in, and where QUEERSPACE kind of comes in to support them to kind of reduce and combat all of these statistics. Yeah, so that's where QUEERSPACE Hangouts comes in. So QUEERSPACE Collective is our overall organization, but our mentorship program is called QUEERSPACE Hangouts. It's a youth-centric intergenerational mentorship program. This is where we connect LGBTQ plus youth ages 12 to 17 with LGBTQ plus adults 25 and up, just so they can develop a sense of increased self-esteem, greater sense of belonging, cultural identity, and pride. There's kind of two parts to our program. So the one-on-one mentoring is where we match them one-on-one with a mentor, and we match them based on identity, orientation, location, youth choice, and shared interests. Our young people kind of like have the final say on who they get matched with. And so they hang out once a week in the community, kind of doing whatever that they both are interested in and like what they want to learn and grow in together. We have a lot of pairs that play board games together, video games, go on hikes and explore different parts of the cities. We get different like free options for cool events around the cities that they can attend to. You know, during all this, they're having ongoing conversation about identity and exploration of orientation and like gender, whatever that they both want to talk about. The other part to our mentorship program is like group hangouts. So we see power in them having a mentor in their life, and then also power in them all coming together and building a larger community. So once a month, we bring all the pairs together to do a large group hangout. We do kind of like very different things each month, but we usually bring in a guest speaker. So we've had Zaylor Stout, who is the author of Our Gay History in 50 States, come in and talk about his book and that process. We've had a music art therapist, Daniel Goldsmith, come in and do a session with the mentees. Nature outings, we're going mini golfing next month. This month we had like a Pride Family Day barbecue together. We've had a sexual health 101 training with Family Tree Clinic that involved the mentees, mentors, and caregivers. So different types of things to just kind of give them more resources and like have them able to like build a community and get to know each other. And then just some benefits for our participants in the QUEERSPACE Hangouts program. So another set of statistics that we like to note is that with one supportive adult, LGBTQ plus youth suicide attempts is cut by 40%. And that is also a really like huge number that we are trying to increase and, you know, support more LGBTQ plus youth to combat that. They also have an enhanced self-esteem and confidence, increased high school graduation rates, healthier relationships and lifestyles, and then improved interpersonal skills. There's also mentor benefits. I feel like sometimes a lot of people like think about mentoring as like the mentor is the person who is the wise one and they are teaching the mentee, but it's a two-way street and we really see it as that at QUEERSPACE. So they're both benefiting from it. Mentors, you know, have a increased sense of purpose, improved communication and social skills, exposure to different people and cultures. There's just a greater connection to the LGBTQ plus community. A lot of our mentors are transplants in Minnesota, so they're also looking for queer communities to be a part of. And then also participation in collaborative learning too is something that they gain as a part of our program. So that is QUEERSPACE. I would say that like a third to like 2/5 of the people that I talk to and when I'm tabling out in the community, I'm like, do you want to hear more about QUEERSPACE? I would say that a lot of them are like, sure, I guess, like give me the spiel. But then when I tell them about it, they're like, oh wait, that's actually like really cool. So if you also thought that and you're interested in supporting QUEERSPACE, we always have room for like more support and we're always looking. So you can, if you identify as LGBTQ plus, consider being a mentor in our program. We're always looking for more mentors, especially trans and non-binary mentors and BIPOC mentors as well. So if you know of folks or if you identify under those categories and identities, then consider being a mentor. And or you can nominate an LGBTQ plus young person into our program. 50% or 60% of our young people are referred in by social workers and therapists. So there's a way to do that on our website. Every weekend we're at Flip Phone drag brunches in downtown Minneapolis. We're always looking for volunteers to come hang out and volunteer at drag brunches. It's always a fun time and you get a free show to drag brunches. Every first weekend of the month, we are at Lush, also doing drag brunches there, just raising money to support more LGBTQ+ youth. You can run for the QUEERSPACE or run for QUEERSPACE in the Twin Cities Marathon this fall. I know Emily and I were kind of talking about that earlier, but we have spots available for the marathon and also the 10 mile. Attend an upcoming event. We'll go to the next slide and talk about like what events are coming up. You can start a Facebook fundraiser or host an event to raise money for QUEERSPACE or just donate directly to us on our website. So some upcoming events tonight is our Pride Block Party at Red Rabbit in North Loop. If you have some time and some energy, come hang out with us. And if you don't have energy, come get some from us tonight. There's gonna be beer from Indeed, which includes our QUEERSPACE beer, the lime and sea salt lager. I've had it and it's so good. There's gonna be wine and cocktails and also oyster shucking. So come hang out, live music from 3 different DJs spinning, and it'll be a good time. It's free entry, so just come hang out with us and drink some beer and eat some good food. And then Shout Out Loud Minnesota is a suicide awareness and prevention organization, and we are one of their beneficiaries this year for their benefit concert. So that's going to be an amazing event in the fall. I believe it's October 1st, and Move Forward is also one of those beneficiaries. We're looking for volunteers, and there's going to be more information coming throughout the summer with that. And then of course the marathon, again, if you are a runner or know like any runners, send them our way and they can run under QUEERSPACE. And then here's just some more like website and social media, email information. If you want to, sign up for our newsletters and just like get in touch with us, here's that contact information. But yeah, that's a little bit about QUEERSPACE. Wanted to just want to say thank you for, again, having us on here. And I'm excited to hear more from Liz and E about their experience in our program. I sent them questions and they're going to answer them. I don't know their answers, so I'm looking forward to what they have to say. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Soua. And did you say oyster shucking? Is that going to be part of tonight?
Yes.
I mean, how cool.
Come through. It'll be a good time.
Yeah, for sure. And so many great ways to get involved. Appreciate you sharing all those out. And for folks that are on the call, and I know that there's a lot of folks that are going to be watching this later just with conflicts of schedule, and even some of our affiliate network that are all over, make sure that we provide all this information on ways that they can connect with all of you. Because not only, I mean, it's amazing. And I know, if you're not here in Minnesota, it's a little hard to do some of those in-person things, but there are still ways that no matter where you're at, you can still get involved, you can still support and connect. So, but thanks, Soua, for sharing that out. And I also appreciate that Nicki said that there is going to be a DJ on deck tonight, considering I feel like dancing all day long. That might be where you'll find me, but encourage all of you to jump in if you can too. But with that, we want to open up the floor and hand the mic over to Liz and E. I just wanted to share a quote that Liz and E like going out for coffee, taking walks, and chatting about life together as a match. But again, I'm gonna just do a really brief introduction of you and then go ahead and do a much better job of introducing yourselves here too. But Liz and E have been matched for 10 months in the QUEERSPACE Hangouts program, and we're the 4th match. During the day, Liz is a regulatory specialist at the University of Minnesota. E just graduated from high school, whoop, whoop, congratulations, with their associate's degree from Normandale through PSEO, and plans to attend Mankato State University in the fall of 2022. So that's sneaking up on you, E. E and Liz like going out for coffee, taking walks, and chatting about life. With that, over to you.
Hi.
Hi.
E, you want me to kick it off?
Sure, go for it.
Yeah, so I'm Liz. This is, I started mentoring, I did like some, mentoring back in college, big brothers, big sisters, and then I've, been able to work with, kids throughout family, and but this is definitely a unique experience for me personally, because I think really E has taught me more than probably they know. They understand, because I think mentoring is those the ability to say that you expand your social skills, your communication, greater sense of purpose are just just the tip of the iceberg, especially when you throw in the LGBTQ. I do identify as lesbian. I use she, her pronouns. I tend to present more, on what would considered in our society as masculine, but I feel like, my experience of coming out at 24 and discovering myself just in general of life is, has been a growing process. And I feel like I'm also now exposed through E to more what life is like for a teenager nowadays, an LGBTQ teenager, and just individual, as we've experienced E's story and E's progression through life. It's amazing to see the growth and the questions that come up from E and from me, because there's stuff I'm like, I didn't know, and I don't even know how to have an answer to it. And that's part of, I think, mentoring, is just knowing that there's going to be questions and exploration and communication and connection on so many different levels. So yeah, that's mentoring is just one part of my life. I enjoy my pets. I enjoy my job as regulatory research specialist at the U. I enjoy my partner, and I just enjoy coffee, taking walks, and talking about life. So that's my introduction. So I'll turn it over to E for you to introduce.
Yeah, I'm E. I also enjoy coffee and walking and talking about life. It's definitely been really interesting going from like 10 months ago, where I used my birth name and like used she, her pronouns. And so kind of it's been really helpful to have Liz by my side as I like working on coming out again, and just like kind of going through that experience again with my gender identity. And I love hanging out with Liz because it's different every time. Like even if we do the same thing, it's always so different, and I just love all the conversations we have. And I really appreciate Liz's ability to go from something like super funny or random to something super serious really quickly. I feel like that's how a lot of our conversations go. Yeah, it's just been crazy, the difference that Liz and this program has made in my life. And it's, yeah, I'm just really grateful that Liz has been there for me.
Do you want us to go through some of the questions you gave us, Shua, or?
However you see fit, whatever makes you comfortable.
Okay. Yeah, I guess, some of the questions is, really talking, I think you asked about, challenges and empowering mentees. And I feel like, there hasn't really been any, I don't know, challenges, but just growth. Because, like E was saying, they use their birth name and the pronouns they were given at birth, and then have grown into themselves. And so, you know, I think part of me is even just learning as an adult who's even a supporter in the LGBTQ community is just like, okay, you know, like, how do we empower youth and also educate ourselves on like, okay, it's not the birth name they were given, it's, you know, the name they have grown and chosen and feel their life is with. And then, you know, changing pronouns, you know, I think we become so distant as adults, and especially since I don't even have kids myself, that as a mentor, you're really connecting with someone not to just give your experience to them, but to gain an experience that then can be spread in the world. You know, even if, you know, I don't know, I can't speak for E, but even when our 12-month contract is up, I would very much enjoy to keep E in my life. And so, but even when you're not paired in a formal mentor program, I think you can learn from mentorship. These programs like QUEERSPACE and Mentor Minnesota, and how to just expand your relationships throughout society and with family and friends. And yeah, I don't know, E, do you think there's any challenges or, you know, things you've seen through mentorship of being the mentee?
I don't think so. I think just like Liz was one of the first people I asked to use my pronouns and my chosen name, and just her like immediately being able to make that switch had a really big impact on me, and I'm really grateful for it. Yeah, if I keep talking, I'm gonna start crying. I'm just really, really grateful for Liz.
I can keep talking for you. Okay. I'm holding it in right now.
This is so weird. This is like another like emotional experience we're having there. I don't know. I feel like Liz keeps it pretty together a lot of the time. So like to be on the verge of tears with you is another like another mentoring experience that I feel like I can feel it bringing us closer.
Yeah.
I think many of us on this call live in tears. I know I do. But it is always happy and joyful tears. And I think showing that emotion shows the power of your connection to each other, and creating that trusting space where you can be vulnerable, I think, and showing your emotion. And so that's beautiful. I know you're getting some love in the chat too. So I am curious too, if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about what it was like being matched at the beginning. We can see now sort of when you're in this space of 10 months in to, you know, your mentoring relationship, but kind of, if you wouldn't mind sharing kind of what that was like at the beginning and being matched.
I think at the beginning it's definitely like really awkward, but I feel like the more you just kind of dig into things, it was really easy to get a sense of like how good the match is really quickly. I was a little nervous because Liz is very much a sports person and like I'm very much not. So that like made me a little anxious, but we've definitely found like a billion other ways to connect. And it's just, yeah, like the more I feel like the more you embrace the awkwardness, the easier it is to get over it.
And we take much better pictures now.
We
Our
do take
first
much
match
better
picture
pictures now.
was so awkward because I'm not like, I'm an awkward photo person, and I was like, okay, we just met, and now we have this great picture, and we even have a great one because I got to go. You know, I was at E's graduation, and so yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, I could definitely say like, yeah.
Yeah, now every time we hang out, we're like, we have to get better pictures for promotional material because our first one is so bad.
I think your pictures look great. And I think just, you know, and all you need, just smiling, I think that's perfect, you know, not worrying about anything else and just being in that moment is pretty awesome. And yes, Sarah said, just blame COVID for awkward photo positions. Yeah, I think we're all, you know, just, you know, and even all the time on Zoom and kind of looking in the mirror all the time, I think it's maybe created some awkwardness too, outside of even not knowing each other, where you feel like you're kind of in a continual picture together almost. So I get it. But what are maybe some things that you didn't expect that would come out of mentorship that you've, you know, embraced or have found now together?
Changing genders is the first one that comes to mind. Yeah, I think just like that entire process, I'm like not even, I don't think it ever really ends, but I'm not even like done with it per se. So I think just having Liz there has been really great because it's just interesting, like even though the LGBTQ community encompasses like both sexuality and gender, I feel like they're such individual experiences. Yeah, like it's definitely different. So I just really appreciate Liz like just playing along. You know, they were, I feel like, the only person excited about me buzzing my hair. And I was like, you know, we were sitting in the car and I was like, Liz, you know what? I'm gonna get a purple buzz cut. I'm gonna do it. Like, I can't stand my long hair anymore. And they were like, yeah, do it. And like, I feel like if Liz hadn't have said that, I probably would have chickened out. Like, yeah.
Yeah. And it was cool. I mean, like, we've had a lot of different, like E was saying, we've had a lot of different experiences. Yeah, we walk, we do board games, you know, we have coffee together, you know, we've done some of the mentorship, like, or the mentor-mentee group hangouts. So it's great to see E, you know, engage with other LGBTQ youth and other LGBTQ adults at the mentorship or the mentoring group hangouts. But you know, I also feel like one of my favorite experiences was when E and I saw a trans non-binary musician that E really likes and is learning. And oh my gosh, like it was the day they got their hair buzzed and purple, and like the excitement at the show, because we also got to be in a space that there were, you know, I think E, you told me like, oh my gosh, like there are people that look like me, like I fit in. You know, there were probably a lot of other LGBTQ, you know, youth and young adults there. And it was amazing because, you know, even though I felt really old at the concert in my 30s, you know, it was a really neat experience that I don't think I would have had if I wasn't part of this mentorship mentee. And so, yeah, even though it was, you know, when you first start mentoring, you're kind of like, all right, like, what am I supposed to do? And there's, you know, like you think of so much of the things, like what activities can I do? And that is, you know, sometimes can be stressful. So it's nice when QUEERSPACE and mentorship groups can kind of give you some structure, some ideas, create some of the group hangouts. But then I think you just have to, you know, I think you just kind of have to go, you know, kind of go with the flow and just learn the person and learn yourself and where things go with things. And so, yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, it can start a little awkward, but as E said, if you embrace the awkwardness, it gets better. And you have a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
I'm trying not to get distracted because Shua and I are fangirling in the chat now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
but
great.
I think
Yeah.
it's really easy to get caught up in the things, but definitely my favorite experiences are when we don't really have a plan and we just kind of like just go out for coffee or just go on a walk, and then like our conversation just goes from there. And that's definitely my favorite part of it. But also, yes, that concert was really cool. It was the day I shaved my head, and it was purple for a little bit, so that was super cool. And it was an artist I had really liked, and then I was like, oh my god, they're coming to Minnesota. And like it was like a transformative experience, and it was really cool to have Liz there. And it's just like we were standing outside in line, and I was just looking around, and I was like, I don't think anyone here is cishet. It was just like very queer vibes, and it was great. And I got to meet them after the show. And I was like, I buzzed my hair today, and like I just came out as non-binary, and it was just so cool.
That's awesome. And I love Laura shared in the chat, going on an adventure anytime you leave the house without a plan, right? And so kind of those unexpected but beautiful moments of life, and to be able to not go it alone, that you're able to enjoy those spaces with someone. And yeah, that was like, what were some of your favorite hangouts together? But sounds like every day is an adventure when you two are together. Which is so good. So good.
Yeah, another thing I definitely enjoy about this program is just like the camaraderie. Liz has been out with COVID like the past 1 or 2 weeks, and we had a hangout scheduled with another mentee and mentor, and Liz wasn't able to make it, but just like the connection that we all had because we were in the program was just really great. And yeah, like it was super fun, and we played these great board games, and we went to one of Liz and I's favorite spots, which is the Nicollet Diner in Minneapolis. And I'm really excited to schedule another hangout with that pair so that Liz can play games with us. And it's also the mentee was another one of the older kids in the program, which I thought I was the oldest, so I was actually kind of excited to meet someone that was as old as me.
That's so great. I haven't been able to open up the picture that Nicki shared, but I'm excited to do that too. I'm curious too, Nicki, I'd love you to kind of jump in the conversation with Liz and E too, as I know that you've developed a connection with both of them as well, if there was anything you wanted to share.
I don't know what to share, but I'm just like grinning. I don't know if y'all can see my picture as you're talking, Ian, Liz, but I'm just like grinning and so grateful and just appreciative that y'all took a chance on this program, and that it's been so successful for you, that it's been such a good experience. And also just feeling grateful for Sarah and Mentor Minnesota really being instrumental. And they didn't pay me to say this, but really like instrumental in helping to like get all this started, because it was really just an idea until Sarah was like, oh, we can help with TA for that and help you develop the program. And there's this LGBTQ cohort that you can join, and just kind of all the support that came from this group to put some energy behind it to really get it started. So, but Ian, Liz, it's so sweet to see y'all, because I sent the picture of you two in the chat here if anyone wants to click on it. But it's sweet to see what was more awkward to this really beautiful relationship that y'all have developed. So I'm just sitting back, like tears, like just appreciating.
Oh, that's so good. And again, like I say, I live in tears, so I totally get it. And I know I'm just meeting Liz and E for the first time, but just feel, again, very grateful, like Nicki said, and appreciate the shout out to Sarah. She's often like kind of in the backdrop, but I call her a gardener of the human spirit because she does do a great job of connecting folks together. Super cool. So yeah. You all are better at hiding that you're teary-eyed in a happy place, but I am not very good at hiding it.
Well, you're all gonna make, I'm already crying, so you're not gonna make me cry. I beat you to it. But I want to lift up something, and this is for all of the folks in QUEERSPACE. So you mentioned that you're part of the LGBTQ+ cohort, Nicki. And we just finished our second year of the cohort, and we're really excited about some of the projects that'll be coming out of that experience. And for those folks who are going to be watching this later or who are maybe interested in doing this in the future, it was a year-long cohort where for 1 month we weekly met with Dr. Christian Rummel and Mia Clark and learned about LGBTQ competence and best practice according to the Elements of Effective Practice LGBTQ+ supplement. And right now, National is looking to expand this project for the future. So they're recruiting other state affiliates to participate in this work. And I would just love to know, and this question is for Soua, E, Liz, Nicki, anybody who's kind of had a role in your work at QUEERSPACE, whether or not someone's in the cohort, what do you want future mentoring programs to know about supporting LGBTQ youth or starting an LGBTQ youth mentoring program?
I think it's from a mentor side of things, especially in this day and age and developing, is like having support to know like your mentors maybe don't know everything about the community. Like for me, you know, like the word queer, like I kind of, even though I'm not, I'm mid-30s, like it wasn't a word that was used a lot when I was young and when I was coming out. And so like getting comfortable with the word queer in my own self and like what it means has been something I've developed over the years. And so like, and then learning things about, transitioning and non-binary. And I'll be honest, E throws out words and I'm like, I don't know, I have to go look that up. So like knowing that your mentor, that being in a community sometimes doesn't mean you know everything about the community. And so I think it's super helpful that QUEERSPACE has the ability to connect and educate. And I think that's just something that mentors need too, is we're learning from our mentees, but even from our organizations, how to be more engaged in a community that we're even a part of. So.
How about E? What do you think?
I think the biggest thing that comes to mind is just like kind of along with what Liz was saying, letting mentors know like that it's okay to not know. And I think some of the best conversations we've had are like when Liz is just willing to say like, yeah, I don't know the answer to that, or like I haven't had that experience. And I think the conversations that come out of that are much more beneficial than if she was to just like kind of reach for an answer. Yeah.
No, that's great. Oh, go ahead, Nicki.
Yeah, I was just going to add, I mean, part of why we started this program was because there's so much power in when you're part of the LGBTQ community, having adults in your life and other young people, but especially like mentors and adults in your life who are also LGBTQ, whether you have a shared identity or a different identity, you know, it can be really scary coming out at any age and throughout. I mean, you know, I'm 20 plus years into this journey and still sometimes can get nervous about being out about who I am. So I think there's just a level of understanding that as queer folks we have. And so being able to support a young person who's going through that journey, there's just a lot of, I don't know, meaningfulness and power in that. And while I know we all love allies and allies are such an important part of our community, there's just something really, really powerful about having that shared experience that I think our program brings. And so I guess as other organizations are either creating similar type of programming or just providing support to LGBTQ youth, you know, even if maybe they can't match an LGBTQ mentor with an LGBTQ youth in more traditional programming, I think if there's ways to even just find ways to like bring community together or bring other adults into the lives of those young people in some capacity, I think is just really powerful. So yeah.
Sarah, will you repeat your question?
Yeah, it was for people who are either going to be part of future LGBTQ plus ally site cohorts or who want to make their programs more queer friendly, what would you suggest those mentoring programs do or consider?
Yeah, something along the same lines of like what Nicki was saying, where like there's power in like, I don't know, I feel like when I'll say like my friend group, for example, I have a group of like, we're all Asian and queer, and whenever we're in that space, we can just kind of like breathe a little because we don't have to like explain our Asian identity and our queer identity. Even if we're hanging out with like non-Asian queers, there's this aspect of like having to educate other folks on like our Asian identity. And so when we're with just like our Asian queer friend group, like there's like this sense of relief, like we can like build off of this and like don't have to explain anything. And that, I think that's really beautiful when the LGBTQ plus community comes together. And also like E was saying earlier, right? Like there's also this like gender piece where we can do better and like include more in the LGBTQ plus community. So having like maybe those like subgroups or like mentors who can like talk to that or have experience and get matched with, I think is really beautiful. I think for cohorts that are like starting, I feel like in this work, I mean, I got hired on in January, just like the need is there. Like we have people from all over like saying like, oh my gosh, we need this in where we are, and they're not like in the Twin Cities metro area. And so just been kind of thinking about like, it's always in my head like, okay, like where are people coming from? Where do they need this? Like, how do we go there? And also like different communities are not the Twin Cities metro area. They might not have as many resources. So how do we bring this into their space, but also like work with their community so we are welcome there? So like things to think about, and just like depending on where people are coming from, but like it's definitely needed. And we get inquiries from outside the Twin Cities metro area, and sometimes, I mean, we just don't have capacity right now, but like super excited to grow and like support more LGBTQ plus youth in Minnesota, in the Midwest, and then nationally too. So yeah, the need is there, and I'm excited to hear that like y'all are trying to expand that program and expand cohorts and have more folks, you know, include the LGBTQ plus community in mentoring too.
That's such great insight, and appreciate all of your perspectives and kind of talking about the realities, and also just in ways of looking at, program development. And yeah, and we are really excited to continue to offer along, the lines of more trainings around providing support. And I will be sharing out a Mentor Minnesota resource packet with all the folks that are registered for the on the call and would like more information too. Included in that is more information about the cohort experience that we've been talking about a little bit, the QUEERSPACE Collective went through, along with the supplement to the EEP, that the LGBTQ supplement that will be included in that the full supplement, and then along with a checklist as well to kind of walk programs through different elements to see where they're at or where they could innovate and improve, or maybe, elevate other things. Sarah, did you want to mention anything else? I know there's been a few folks that have jumped on just now, but happy you're here. Everyone's welcome in this space and being part of this discussion. So,
well, I saw Laura asked a question, and Sarah, thanks for, we realized that there was a time issue where our calendar said 10 and then it was advertised at 11 on the Zoom invite. So what we may end up doing is we recorded this whole session and we'll send out the wraparound for those of you who got caught up in our own scheduling snafu, which is our fault here. But Laura had a question that was, Soua and Nicki, could you share a little bit about what training or support you provide mentors for supporting youth and their mental health needs?
Yeah, so we require that our mentors attend 3 additional trainings a year, and they can kind of choose which one kind of works best for them or that they need most. But we've done a suicide prevention 101 training with NAMI, and also like a supporting your LGBTQ plus kid with Dave and Hannah Edwards from Transforming Families. And so we provide trainings also for caregivers too. We've heard a lot from our caregivers that they're like, hey, I need more resources on how to support my young person as well. And so we've started including that. Something super exciting is that we've actually started partnering with Reclaim. Reclaim is a mental health organization that supports LGBTQ and queer and trans youth in the Twin Cities. So we actually are partnering with them, and that actually just started, but we'll kind of have drop-ins every month. So our mentors can hop on and ask their therapist questions that, I'm a youth worker, but I don't have a mental health background. And so they can answer those questions that I might not know on how mentors can better support their mentees. And then I'm also checking in with Reclaim therapists every month, just in case things do pop up that we need more resources on and whatnot. And they've kind of guided us through our decision trees and resources list that we've sent out. So yeah, it's super exciting.
I would also add, just kind of building on what Liz was saying earlier about some of the trainings that we did last fall around, we did some Trans 101 trainings and just talked about general terminology and the binary and non-binary spectrums. And as Liz noted, just because we're part of the LGBTQ community doesn't mean that we necessarily know all things LGBTQ+. So educating ourselves and our mentors on how to support the wide variety of youth that show up in our program has been great. And then I would add that as QUEERSPACE Collective, just a little plug for some things that we're starting to do is we're providing some training and consulting to youth serving organizations around how to be more LGBTQ inclusive. So 2 weeks ago, we trained over 200 YMCA camp counselors who work with 14,000 youth in the Twin Cities area. And we just did 2-hour sessions with them on, pronouns and what to do if there's bullying, and just some really practical hands-on discussions around how they can better support the LGBTQ youth in their, that they work with directly, and have received a ton of really positive feedback about how helpful it was for them just to have a safe space to like ask the questions that maybe they can't ask elsewhere, or that, you know, they could only find on the internet. So that's been a really great experience, and something that we're starting to expand, because we think that, you know, we can have greater impact and really help other youth serving organizations to be more inclusive. So kind of more to come on that, but yeah, happy to chat with you personally offline if you want to reach out.
Yeah, that's so great, Nikki. Appreciate it. And yeah, we are excited that Nikki from QUEERSPACE is going to be joining us as one of our technical assistance providers here too. And if any programs are interested in learning more about that, we'll share out our contact information as well. And I'd be happy to set up another meeting to talk about technical assistance and what that looks like, and how we can best support your work and your program. But yeah, so good. And I'll probably, since we do have some folks again mentioned, there was a time error on our part, so sincere apologies. And I know we have folks in other time zones that there's often confusion, but nonetheless, we are recording this entire conversation. And so we'll make sure that everyone gets a copy of that, along with all the resources that have been talked about as we go. But maybe if for folks that are just joining too, we can maybe open it up, and Liz and E, if you wanted to share anything else, or if folks had questions, we can just open that up for that. Just gonna pause this little GIF here too, but it won't do that. And yes, really appreciate Liz and E for joining us this morning and taking time out of your summer schedule. And as E's getting ready for college here soon, when do you start class? And for those that, again, just jumped on, E just graduated from high school and will be starting.
Yeah, so yeah, I just graduated high school, and I also did PSEO, which is going to college and getting both college and high school credit. So I graduated with my associates from Normandale Community College here as well. I move August 8th and I start classes August 22nd. So I'm really excited about that.
I think Shua asked, what is one of your biggest takeaways or learnings from your match with each other, having a mentor in general? Oh man, one of my biggest takeaways.
I know that's a big question.
Yeah.
Shua loves to ask big questions, but they're so good.
I think it's like the biggest thing is just learning perspective, and like learning that, like, I guess active listening was something I said earlier, and I feel like that's something because, like, I don't know, mentoring spans so much. It spans activities, it spans the LGBTQ aspect of life, it spans the E getting ready for college, which is a big transition in life. It spans you know, learning about friendships and relationships with family. And I just think it's just like, if you're just actively listening and just gaining perspective and giving perspective, it just it's not always about answers and concrete things. It's just about connection. So
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think also that even though like being LGBTQ is our main connection, like there is so much else we have in common, and there's so much else that we talk about, especially like with the transition to college coming up.
It is big chapters of, you know, turning the page out of high school into, you know, but being a PSEO student, I think can help, but more importantly, having Liz there in your corner is huge. And yeah, having that support is so important with all those big moments, right? Does anyone else have any questions or other things that you'd like to add? Well, folks are maybe thinking if they did have a few, I was going to add in the chat that you'll see that QUEERSPACE Collectives is going to have a booth at the Twin Cities Pride Festival. And get ready, this is a big link. I don't know why it's so long, but the link for the Twin Cities Pride Festival, yeah, you probably have to scroll to capture it, but I encourage you to click on it and then save it to your favorites so that you can see all the festivities that are going on around Loring Park on Saturday and Sunday, and encourage you to please stop by and say hello to QUEERSPACE. They mentioned that they're going to be in the pink zone near the Stonewall stage, and we'll also be at the march on Sunday as well. So just wanted to make sure to amplify that. And along with the recording today, I will be sending out a Mentor Minnesota LGBTQ plus resource packet that has contact information in here for QUEERSPACE, with additional other resources like our supplement to the EEP, and other ways if you want to connect about TA or do anything like that. Oh, and then Nikki shortened it for me. Thanks, Nikki.
I have a question for E and Liz, and it maybe even specifically for you, E. I know that you had mentioned that you, oh, I have a, sorry, I'm echoing. I know that you'd mentioned that you, it was really helpful for you to be partnered with Liz, or to be in a mentoring relationship with Liz as you started navigating your own gender. And I'm curious how that was different or similar to navigating coming out prior to QUEERSPACE, and kind of how having Liz as someone by your side maybe supported, influenced, or changed that process for you, which I know is ever evolving, but I'd be curious your thoughts.
What I will say is, like, this time I feel like it's definitely coming with a lot more mental health challenges. That's definitely been the biggest change. So like all the extra support I can get is always really appreciated, because now it's not just like worrying about family and stuff. Just like a nice thick layer of dysphoria on top of that has been really tough to navigate. So, you know, just always having someone there that I know is going to use the right name and the right pronouns, and just like having someone there has been really beneficial. And I've noticed that coming out with my gender has left me with definitely more of a desire to be in queer spaces, because I know that my name and my pronouns are going to be respected. Because it's just like, I feel like gender affects your daily life so much more. You know I'm gonna have to go to work and get called ma'am and she, her, and my birth name, and that's always like a really tough thought. So at the end of the day, just having someone there that I know is just like gonna get everything right makes my day a lot of the time.
Yeah, I would say it's more about like, you know, I wasn't there, you know, at the beginning with the, you know, the pre-mentorship, you know, self-discovery and coming out. But like, I think it, to me, I may be like just helping, it sounds like maybe reinforce, just like just support and lift up rather than, you know, and I think that's part of mentoring, is just like you're lifting up and supporting and reinforcing the things that are important and the changes and the growth. And I think that's a mentor can do too, is, you know, support the things that the mentee already knows is best for them. So.
Again, yeah, just really appreciate the the honesty today and vulnerability of sharing your story, you know, it is powerful, and we never know who's in the room. And I know even the time debacle that's on me to, you know, but hopefully folks can engage in this and watch and see your bravery and your honesty and vulnerability, and feel encouraged and uplifted and inspired to share their own story and to be more inclusive and to, again, uplift and support each other in community and in love. Again, I know there were some tears shed today, but again, it's just out of such a sincere gratitude for your time. And again, there's maybe no more powerful way to share this work than through the telling of your story. And so again, we just appreciate you all so much. And again, and even sharing your pictures, though, if you thought they were awkward or not, but I think they're so beautiful, and speak 1,000 words. And the best part is your smiles. And yeah, really just appreciate all of it. I know we're running down on time a little bit, but I did want to, you know, folks are welcome to stay on a little bit longer. I'm not sure if Liz and E are able to, but if you'd like to stay on, if folks had other questions, I'm happy to stay on. But I want to just show another story about why mentorship matters in this space and the power of building connection.
I can't stress how important mentorship is. I wish when I was a kid that I had a mentor who identified the way that I did. And I know how it feels to feel isolated, to grow up without seeing representation, and therefore not really being able to imagine your own futures. So mentorship, it really gives you hope. And I'm so happy to be supporting this organization and connecting kids, people that they can truly connect to and feel represented by.
Again, so great, the power of telling stories and seeing stories, hearing stories, and hopefully feeling, you know, a little bit maybe more brave or more supported in telling our own stories. So, and yeah, and again, a big thank you to Mentor, our affiliate network, and Mentor National for providing some really great videos of glimpses of stories and why mentorship really matters. Again, but you know, the QUEERSPACE video, again, for folks that jumped on a little bit late, I really encourage you to go back and watch that, because it does just capture all of the things, the amazing work that QUEERSPACE is doing to really uplift and support young people. And yeah, I just am really excited to be able to be connected to all of you, and I hope that everyone continues to stay connected and jumps in maybe the festivities, a little dancing tonight, or joins maybe the parade this weekend. There's a ton of things. Again, look at the link in the chat to find out more information. But I'll also share out this link. We always love feedback, so we can continue to provide good resources and tools to uplift and support your program. So if you wouldn't mind, you can either point your camera at the QR code, or we'll drop the link in the chat. And also Nicki shared a direct link to the QUEERSPACE video as well. You're like Sarah and can multitask much better than I can. So I appreciate that. But I'll also share the link for some feedback. If you would be so inclined to do that, we'd appreciate it. And again, just thank you all for being here this morning and spending a little bit of time. Hopefully you can stay cool when all this hot temperatures too, but don't let it deter you from dancing and joining in some of the celebration this weekend. But yeah, I'll stop sharing and stay on if any other folks had any other questions or had anything else that they'd like to share.
I just want to say thanks, Mentor Minnesota, for having us, and then Liz and E for graciously, sharing your stories and hopping on again during your summer hours. Appreciate it and loved hearing from y'all too. So yeah, thanks for having us. Happy Pride, everyone. Have a safe and joyful Pride weekend.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's sometimes you don't think about things until you start to tell those stories. And so it's great. It's great to have this space. So thank you.
Yes, absolutely. And hope you can join us again, and know that you're all welcome to always come to any of the events that we're hosting, and hope you feel better too. I appreciate